When my biological parents came to take me away, my first thought was, what about Rachel? She had just lost her memory. She'd forgotten everything and everyone, except me. I was planning to take her with me. But then, I accidentally overheard her talking to someone on the phone. Amnesia? I'm faking it. I pissed off the wrong people. I don't want my boyfriend getting targeted along with me. Ethan doesn't matter. If he gets bullied, it doesn't break my heart. Hearing this, I let out a long sigh of relief. That's good. Tomorrow, when I erase the identity of Ethan, she won't be sad. I had come home early, wanting to surprise Rachel. That's when I heard the conversation. Amnesia? Of course it's fake. Her bedroom door wasn't fully closed. Her voice drifted out, arrogant and casual. I offended someone recently. They said they'd get revenge on me and wouldn't spare my man, either. Mason and I have been too close lately. Those people are already watching him. I had no choice. I had to find a body double for him. Mason's full name is Mason Archer. He's Rachel's childhood sweetheart. On the other end of the line, her friend asked, but will this method work? It works. Those guys really think Ethan is my boyfriend now. You're ruthless. Ethan has loved you for so many years. You don't get it. Rachel interrupted. Mason is so scared he can barely sleep. It hurts me to see him like that. That's the only reason I'm doing this. Otherwise, do you think I'd want to be apart from Mason? What about Ethan? You don't feel a little bad? He doesn't matter. Rachel answered without a second thought. He isn't Mason. I don't care if he gets hurt. I stood there blankly at the door. I felt a little lost. I didn't know Rachel and Mason were together. If I had known, I would have kept my distance. It was no secret that I liked Rachel. But I also knew there was no chance for us. I grew up poor while Rachel came from a prestigious family. There was a massive gap between us. I had liked her for years, and she had always kept me at arm's length, until last month. Rachel suddenly came to me, looking disheveled. She said she had amnesia, remembered nothing, and only knew who I was. Rachel liked extreme sports. It wasn't impossible that she'd had an accident and hit her head. At that time, she looked at me with wet, puppy dog eyes and said, "Ethan, please take me in." My heart went soft, and I agreed to let her stay at my place. During that time, I tried to take her back to her parents multiple times, but Rachel refused. She would hug my waist, acting all aggrieved. To me, they're no different from strangers. "Ethan, do you not want me anymore?" Rachel was beautiful, and she had once saved my life. When she acted cute, I could only surrender. Just like that, we lived together for a month. The woman who was once out of my league was now sleeping beside me. It was beautiful, like a dream, and it really was a dream, because today it was time to wake up. I deliberately made some noise. Rachel quickly hung up the phone and walked out of the room. "Ethan, when did you get back?" "Just walked in." She secretly sighed in relief. Immediately, she hugged me, burying her face in my neck. "I wanted to pick you up from work, but I didn't expect you back so early." I remained silent. Rachel hugged me tighter, her lips brushing against my earlobe as she kissed me. "What's wrong? Bad day at work?" "A little." "Who bullied you?" "I'll go teach them a lesson." "Rachel." I gently pushed her away and asked, "Have you recovered any of your memory?" "Doesn't feel like it." "You really don't remember anyone?" She smiled. "Does it matter? Since I woke up, the only name in my head has been yours." "Then what about Mason?" Rachel frowned, feigning deep thought. "Who is that? Should I know him?" "Forget it. Nobody." Rachel clearly didn't want to dwell on the topic. She quickly changed the subject. "Today was my birthday." She said she had prepared a gift for me. It was a blue jacket, very unique in style. "I saved up for a long time to buy this. Do you like it?" Rachel watched my expression closely, but I didn't respond, because I suddenly remembered. Mason's favorite color was blue. That night, I had to drop off a file at the office. Before leaving, I threw on that blue jacket. As I walked, I started to suspect I was being followed. Soon, the path ahead was blocked. "Found you, Rachel's boyfriend." Several men surrounded me. I said, "You've got the wrong person." "Bullshit. I've been watching you for a long time. You're always with that woman. Rachel, if it's not you, who is it? I calmly asked, what time is it? 11. Why? The man was confused by my question. If Rachel really loved me, would she let me go out alone at 11 at night knowing there's danger? Makes sense. But I recognized that jacket. Jacket? The man showed me a photo. It was a picture of Rachel and Mason together. Mason was wearing this exact blue jacket right down to the zipper pull. Except he was wearing a hat, so his face was obscured. No mistake. The man looked me up and down. See the monogram on the pocket? I know this thing is custom made. You're the guy I'm looking for. I looked down and finally noticed. There were 3 letters embroidered on the pocket. No wonder she gave me this jacket. Wearing it, I became Mason. I became the perfect decoy to die in his place. When I got home, it was past midnight. Rachel wasn't asleep yet. Hearing the door open, she jumped up. She looked at me nervously. Seeing that I was unharmed, she breathed a sigh of relief, then looked surprised. You're back so soon? Yeah. Did anything happen? What should have happened? I stared at her and asked. I didn't mean that. I meant, I'm glad you didn't run into any danger. After acting for a month, this was the first time Rachel showed a crack in her facade. I looked away, feigning calm.
I'm tired.
Going to sleep. Thinking back to what just happened, I was still a bit dazed. At the critical moment, Jessica appeared. She didn't have to do anything, she just stood there. And the thugs scattered. The Jenkins family of New York. Anyone in these circles knew them. Jessica handed me an ice cream. Good thing your big sister was following you. I asked, it's so late. Why were you in the neighborhood? You still haven't agreed to come home with me. I couldn't sleep, so I went for a walk. Didn't expect to run into you. Jessica looked at me with heartache. Did things like this happen often before? Is this how you lived all the years we were separated? I shook my head. No, don't worry. Actually, I still couldn't quite believe it. Jessica Jenkins was my biological sister. The Jenkins family had lost a baby boy years ago, and it turned out to be me. They had been searching for years. The day the DNA results came back, Jessica brought Mom and Dad, canceled all their work, and made a special trip to pick me up. I just hadn't agreed immediately. New York, the city of wealth and power, felt too far away from me. Plus, if I left, what would happen to Rachel? The sound of the shower running pulled me back to reality. While Rachel was showering, I checked her chat logs on her laptop. After her amnesia, Rachel had registered a burner account on her messaging app just to contact me. She claimed she had forgotten her original passwords, but on her laptop, her main account was logged in. The pinned conversation was with Mason. Rachel, is everything okay over there? Mason asked. Rachel replied, they're already watching the place. Don't come see me right now. Mason. Sigh, I just didn't want to see that client forcing you to drink so much. That's why I cursed him out. I didn't think he'd take it this hard. Rachel, it's okay, babe. I know you did it for me. So that's how the trouble started. Mason's rich kid temper didn't just ruin Rachel's business deal, it put her in danger. Mason asked again. You aren't sleeping in the same room as him over there, are you? No. Mason believed this answer without a doubt. Good. Even we haven't held hands yet. You can't be too intimate with him. Besides, you don't need to sacrifice too much. Since Ethan loves you so much, just use him however you want. Mason didn't know. His Rachel was lying. Not only was she sleeping in the same bed as me, but she also had plenty of energy, clinging to me every night. Finally, Mason asked, when do you plan to come back? Rachel, soon. If the Jenkins family agrees to help, I can come back immediately. When you come back, how will you explain it to Ethan? I'll just say my memory returned, and he's not the one I love. I didn't read any further. The shower was still running. I closed the bedroom door tight and called Jessica. I've made up my mind. I'll come home with you, but I have a request. Can you erase my current identity? 3 days later, in the afternoon, dragging a suitcase, I told Rachel I was going on a business trip. Rachel looked reluctant to see me go. When she saw I was wearing the blue jacket, her expression froze. You're going to wear that? Yeah. Didn't you save up to give this to me? Of course I'm wearing it. She grabbed another coat. Wear this one instead. Why? Is there something wrong with the jacket you gave me? Rachel's eyes darted away. It's not very thick. I'm afraid you'll be cold. It's almost summer. I won't be cold. I looked into Rachel's eyes and asked one last time. Is there anything you want to tell me? She was silent for a long time, then shook her head. Nothing. As long as you like it. I smiled, letting it go. That was her answer. I'm leaving then. Goodbye. The door clicked shut gently, like a final farewell. The Ethan who loved Rachel was dead. Only when a person dies can their identity be erased. But for the Jenkins family, that was a simple task. I changed my SIM card, changed everything. I walked toward a brand new life. By the second day, Rachel sensed something was wrong. Her messages sank like stones in the ocean. Her calls went unanswered. Ethan was missing. At first, Rachel comforted herself, it's fine. Maybe he's just busy. He wasn't someone worth distracting herself over. But she developed insomnia. Ethan's pillow was still right there, the air filled with his scent. She suffered, whispering Ethan's name to the empty room. Even then, she thought it was just a physical habit she needed to break. On the third day, still no news. Rachel ran to Ethan's company, only to be told Ethan had resigned. Rachel felt like she'd been bludgeoned over the head. Walking unsteadily, she went to the police station. Ethan. Yes, he's my boyfriend, but I've lost contact with him. I suspect he's in danger. Are you sure? There's no such person in the system. Check again. There can't be a mistake. After typing on the keyboard for a moment, the clerk suddenly looked up. He's dead. Just yesterday. His records were expunged. Buzz. Rachel's world lost all sound. In a flash, 6 months passed. The matriarch of the Jenkins family in New York was holding a birthday banquet. Everyone who was anyone was there. 55-year-old Mrs. Jenkins, dressed elegantly, told everyone she met, "Isn't this gown beautiful? My son picked it out for me." Everyone knew. 6 months ago, the Jenkins family recovered their youngest son who had been lost for years. They spoiled him rotten. Chairman Jenkins simply retired early, dumping all the work on his daughter so he could focus on one thing: traveling the world with his son. His daughter, Jessica, was indignant about this because she wanted to hang out with her little brother, too. Today's banquet was nominally for Mrs. Jenkins' birthday. In reality, it was to introduce the son to society. Mrs. Jenkins was beaming. Her previous melancholy gone, she even looked years younger. This made everyone even more curious. Hey, have you seen the Jenkins son? Even the paparazzi haven't snapped him. How could I have seen him? Then why are you dressed so provocatively? Aren't you the same? Every single woman here is dressed to kill. Everyone wants to catch the eye of the Jenkins heir. But I heard he has an arranged fiancée. I walked quietly past the venue. Everyone was busy gossiping. No one noticed me slipping into the Jenkins family's private lounge. I was bringing Jessica a dress. Just a moment ago, a male guest had accidentally knocked over a wine glass, staining her suit. Jessica said, "Brandon, go out in a bit and smooth things over with that guest. He seemed really guilty. We're the hosts. No need to be harsh over a small accident." I agreed. Leaving the lounge, I went to find the guest who spilled the wine. Sure enough, there was a guy looking annoyed. A woman with him was comforting him. Their silhouettes looked familiar. Before I could react, the woman turned around. "Ethan?" Rachel shot up, looking at me in disbelief. It was Rachel and Mason. I didn't expect to meet them here. It seemed they had settled the issue with the offended client. I calmed down quickly. Honestly, in the last 6 months, I had almost forgotten Rachel. My parents doted on me. To make up for lost time, they took me around the world. I thought it would take a long time to walk out of the shadow Rachel cast on me. But the world is too big. I didn't have time to think of her. "Ethan, it really is you. Thank God. You're alive." Rachel, on the other hand, wasn't so calm. She ran up to me. Suddenly, her eyes turned red. "This is great, you're really still here. I'm not dreaming. Looks like your memory is back." Rachel froze. She almost forgot she was supposed to be faking amnesia. "It's back," she answered guiltily. I turned to look at Mason. He was the one who spilled the wine, about staining the dress. But before I could finish, Mason interrupted me. Ethan, who do you think you are, daring to crash this place? Crash? I was a little surprised. What else? He looked me up and down. With your status and background, there's no way the Jenkins family invited you. After saying that, he arrogantly held out his hand. Let me see your invitation. Of course, I couldn't produce an invitation. Mason put on an I-knew-it expression and said loudly, "Aren't you afraid of being thrown out?" I fell silent, mostly because I couldn't process the stupidity. Did he know what he was saying? Mason hooked his arm through Rachel's. I told you, right? He definitely faked his death just to make you pity him. Look, he couldn't hold back anymore. He even followed us here. Rachel ignored him, just staring at me in a daze. Mason had to turn his spear back to me. Ethan, do you know where you are? Everyone here is a business tycoon. How did you sneak in? I said coldly. I walked in on my 2 feet. You've got some nerve. Mason was even more convinced of his guess. I advise you to leave immediately, or don't blame me for calling security to remove you. Go ahead. I held back only because of Jessica's instructions. Guests are guests. As hosts, we have to be gracious, even if the guest is brain damaged. I couldn't be bothered to waste breath on them and turned to leave. Rachel blocked my path. Ethan, where are you going? Come back with me later. I shook off her hand. I'm not Ethan anymore. Then who are you? I'm the youngest son of the Jenkins family, Brandon Jenkins. At that, Mason burst out laughing. You? You don't even draft your lies first. Ethan, oh Ethan. 6 months no see, and you've become so vain? He wouldn't believe me no matter what. Forget it. I was too tired to explain, so I turned and walked away. A while later, the banquet began. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Mrs. Jenkins was about to go on stage to give a speech. Mason suddenly raised his hand high. Wait a minute. I'm reporting someone. There's an intruder here who wasn't invited. The crowd went into an uproar. Who? Who has the guts? Mason pointed at me. Him. Everyone's gaze instantly focused on me. The expressions on the Jenkins family members were priceless. Do you have any proof? Mason said firmly, because I know him. His name is Ethan, my college classmate. His parents died when he was young. His relatives ignored him. He couldn't even afford food. He relied on financial aid for college. How could someone like that appear at this banquet? He wasn't wrong. After I was abducted, the couple who bought me seemed to suffer divine retribution and died in a car crash not long after. None of the relatives wanted a burden like me. I grew up eating scraps from neighbors. Sometimes, when there were no scraps, I had to dig through trash cans. But that watch on his wrist is worth a fortune. Someone sharp-eyed raised a question. That's the point, Mason shouted indignantly. I just saw him coming out of the private lounge. He stole that watch. Whispers erupted everywhere. People started checking their belongings. Mason added helpfully, don't worry, everyone. I've already called the police. Enough. Jessica finally couldn't take it anymore and shouted in anger. The thief you're talking about is my biological brother. Mason froze instantly, but Jessica's rage hadn't subsided. I bought him that watch. Is there a problem with him wearing it? He is a Jenkins. He can enter and exit any lounge he pleases. Do I need to explain that?
No, impossible.
Mason's face turned pale as he looked toward today's birthday girl, Mrs. Jenkins. Mrs. Jenkins, eyes red, asked me, is what he said true? You couldn't even get enough to eat before? My poor son. It's all Mom's fault for not finding you sooner. Dad walked out at this moment, too. Perfect timing. Let me introduce everyone. This is my son, Brandon Jenkins. Please look after him in the future. Mason looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Equally shocked was Rachel. I don't care what your motive is for slandering my brother, but this venue does not welcome you. Please leave. Jessica's face was dark enough to kill. Mason panicked. I'm sorry. It's a misunderstanding. I'll call the police and tell them not to come. Don't. The police are actually needed. I pointed to the security camera and spoke. You slandered me in public with solid evidence. I'm pressing charges, too. Mason slumped to the floor. Jessica found him too much of an eyesore. She had security throw him out to wait for the police outside. Mason could only turn to Rachel for help. Help me. You have a partnership with the Jenkins family. Put in a good word for me. Jessica turned her head and looked coldly at Rachel. Are you with him? Rachel snapped out of her trance and took a step to the side. No, I don't know him. After such a huge farce, it was resolved smoothly. The birthday banquet concluded amidst a lively atmosphere. That night back home, Mom kept crying over me. My sweet son, you really suffered. Why didn't you tell Mom earlier? I smiled. It's all in the past. I didn't want to see you sad. Mom wailed and cried even harder. Took forever to calm her down. I went to find my sister, Jessica. Jessica is 5 years older than me. When I was lost at 3, my impression of her wasn't deep. Plus, she was busy with work and we didn't meet often. So until now, she was the person I was least familiar with in this house. I couldn't even bring myself to call her sis easily. I poked my head in. Are you busy? Jessica put down the file in her hand. Brandon?
Come in.
Outsiders said this heir to the Jenkins empire was born for this circle. Cold heart, hard tactics. Even tougher than Dad was back in the day. But when she spoke to me, she was always gentle. What do you need, Brandon? Is our family partnering with Rachel? To be precise, we're still negotiating. That woman, Rachel, has some talent. She's considered a rising star in the startup world recently. I'm considering investing in her. Is there no alternative? I asked carefully. You mean you don't want me to invest in her? I waved my hands hurriedly. That's not what I mean. You manage the company, so you have to think about profit. I won't interfere with your decisions. Jessica took off her glasses and looked at me solemnly. But Brandon, we're family. Family should protect each other. She was right. Growing up, I was used to compromising just to survive. I didn't dare express my thoughts for fear of being disliked and losing my next meal. But now I had a home. I gathered my courage and said, Sis, don't invest in her. Jessica paused. What did you call me?
Sis.
Okay. Her hands shook slightly with excitement. If Brandon says no investment, then absolutely no investment. Stopping Jessica from investing in Rachel wasn't just a personal grudge. It was because I felt Rachel was unreliable, especially after today. I asked around later. After I erased my identity, Rachel took a huge hit. She was mentally out of it for a while. She broke up with Mason and was depressed. But Mason stayed by her side. Mason hated me, which I actually understood. But Rachel, disregarding their past history, she pretended not to know him the moment he was in trouble. Someone that cold and disloyal isn't a suitable business partner. I told Jessica everything. She thought for a moment. Based on what you said, Rachel really isn't trustworthy. She paused, then changed the subject. Do you still like her? I shook my head. I moved on a long time ago. Then what do you think about the engagement with Victoria Vance? No thoughts for now. The question caught me off guard. Supposedly, when Mom was pregnant with me, she made a pact with the Vance family, real estate tycoons. But it was just talk. Nothing was ever officially set in stone. Now that I was back, the Vance family seemed interested in making it happen. I couldn't help but think of Victoria. Graceful figure, outstanding presence. The first time we met was at the Vance estate. Right after I was found, Dad took me to see his old friend. That was Victoria's dad. That day, all the aunts and uncles of the Vance family were there. I was surrounded by a crowd, feeling very awkward. They kept asking me questions. Are you going to marry Victoria? When's the wedding? How many kids do you want? The suffocating questions almost drowned me. Suddenly, a girl walked over and stood in front of me. Stop asking so much. You're invading his privacy. Oh, come on, what kind of privacy is this? I said it is, so it is. Apologized to him. The girl was forceful, almost domineering. Later, I learned she was Victoria Vance. However, the filter of that first meeting was quickly shattered by the lady herself. My parents were thoughtful. Considering I was in my 20s, they bought me a new apartment so I could have some privacy. But I usually preferred staying with them. Occasionally, I'd go to that apartment. Like today. Boring financial laws were making me drowsy. The doorbell rang suddenly. I thought it was my food delivery, so I ran to open it. But standing outside was Rachel. Her eyes lit up instantly. It really is here. I found the right place. What do you want? Ethan, since you're not dead, our relationship can definitely continue. Right? Relationship? What relationship? I smiled sarcastically. You mean the relationship where you faked amnesia to use me? Rachel's smile froze. When did you find out? A long time ago. I can explain. That plan was Mason's idea. I refused at first, but he wouldn't stop nagging, so I pretended to have amnesia to find you. I've actually regretted it the whole time. Then go be regretful. Goodbye. I was about to close the door, but Rachel reached out to block it. The door frame pinched her hand. She hissed in pain but refused to pull it back. She looked up at me and said, Ethan, please forgive me? For the sake of me saving your life once. I fell silent. That incident was my soft spot. Rachel thought she had found a breakthrough. She was about to walk into the room as if it were natural. Suddenly, a crisp female voice came from inside. Who is it? Immediately after, a woman wrapped in a bathrobe walked out. She was drying her wet long hair with a towel as she walked. With the movement of her arms, the curves of her body were faintly visible. Is someone harassing you? Victoria asked nonchalantly. Don't worry, I called security. Rachel turned pale, made up an excuse, and fled. I rolled my eyes at Victoria and thought, you really love drama. Just a moment ago, when Victoria arrived, she had gotten caught in the rain. Afraid she'd catch a cold, I rushed her to take a hot shower. I didn't expect her to walk out like that. After Rachel left, I accused her. Is there something wrong with you? Oh, I threw my clothes in the dryer. Wanted to borrow something from you. I only have men's clothes here. Will you wear them? Sure. Victoria smiled, a bit of lazy mischief in her expression. But you have to keep it a secret. It's my first time wearing men's clothes. I rolled my eyes at her. You doing this makes people misunderstand me. So what? She sat on the sofa, her posture relaxed. Is that person important to you? Are you afraid she'll misunderstand? Not really. Maybe letting Rachel misunderstand was actually a good thing. Did you finish the material? Victoria asked out of the blue. Not yet. Hurry up. Don't dawdle. Teacher Victoria picked these materials with care. Cherish them. I sighed, accepting my fate. I don't know what my parents were thinking, hiring Victoria to be my tutor. They wanted me to participate in the family business eventually. But I lacked too much business knowledge. Jessica was too busy, so they had to find someone else. Among our peers, Victoria was the most gifted. Since our families were close, she became my exclusive tutor. We agreed to have lessons here at this apartment. Victoria was lazy personally, but strict with me. Under her high pressure, I often studied until I was in a trance. The good impression from our first meeting had long been smashed to smithereens. After you finish the reading, go look at some case studies. You can only eat after you finish everything. Are you a devil? The devil herself shrugged and casually opened a bag of my hidden snacks. There was a lot to learn, but under Victoria's supervision, I miraculously absorbed it. When there were things I didn't understand, she would explain them patiently. By the time I finished everything, the lunch Victoria ordered had arrived. While eating, I thought back to the scene earlier. When Rachel saw Victoria, her expression was a bit unnatural. Did they know each other? I voiced my question. Victoria said calmly, I guess we know each other. 6 months ago, at a dinner, her boyfriend cursed me out. So that client was you. The world is too small. The big shot Rachel offended back then was Victoria. I asked, then did you hire thugs later? Yeah, but I didn't plan to really beat anyone up. Just wanted to scare them. Unfortunately, it didn't scare Mason. It scared me. I didn't tell Victoria about that. Since it was in the past, there was no need to bring it up. Why did you like her? Victoria asked out of nowhere. I didn't react immediately. Who? Rachel. Oh, I don't like her anymore. But before? Why did you like her? Victoria was inexplicably persistent on this question. even though her tone sounded casual. Rachel was pretty outstanding in school. Talented and beautiful. Teachers and students all liked her.
Plus.
She saved my life. I didn't tell Victoria about that part of the past. It was the summer of my senior year of high school. I accidentally drowned. Rachel passed by, and without a word, dove into the water and fished me out. When I woke up, she had already left. The onlookers were busy taking care of me and didn't notice what she looked like. I asked around later. The only comments I got were, "The girl has good character, doing good deeds without leaving a name." Pity, though, didn't get a clear look at her face. Just remember she was beautiful. I had a rough outline in my mind. Tall, about my age. Later in college, I saw Rachel at a swimming competition. Her movements entering the water, her swimming posture, it all woke up my memory. It was like her. I went to ask her for confirmation. Rachel froze for a second, then nodded. Yeah, it was me. That was how Rachel and I first met. Except now, these events had become leverage for Rachel to blackmail me emotionally. I felt annoyed. Seeing I didn't want to talk, Victoria didn't push. After the tutoring ended, I returned to the Jenkins estate as usual. I guessed Rachel wouldn't give up easily, but I never expected that to win me back. She wouldn't hesitate to hurt Mason. At the last banquet, Mason insulted me. He was taken away by the police and lectured for half a day. Since then, I hadn't seen him. The next time I saw news about him, it was on social media. The video of Mason slandering me had been leaked. It triggered massive ridicule from netizens. That wasn't the main point. The point was someone exposed several sets of photos of him in nightclubs. They said he liked using these photos to blackmail rich people, regardless of whether they were single or not. Mason's parents were famous professors with a reputation to uphold. His photos quickly trended. Netizens mocked. Famous professors raised a kid like this. So much for a scholarly family. I watched the discussions, feeling no joy. Who did this? Soon I had the answer. Rachel came to find me, looking jubilant. She said, "Ethan, did you see the trending topics?" "I saw them. Are you happy?" I was astonished. "You did it?" "Yup. Why would you do that?" "You don't like Mason, so I exposed his true colors. In the future, whoever you don't like, I'll deal with them. I can do anything for you." She seemed crazy. That excited tone, that expression fanatical to the point of distortion. She was no longer the Rachel I knew. "Ethan, revenge is served. Do you feel relieved now?" She looked at me expectantly. But what she got wasn't my praise. It was a slap. I slapped Rachel hard across the face. No matter how much I hated Mason, I could never use such methods to ruin a person's reputation. I immediately called Jessica. I asked her to find a way to take down those photos. Too many gossip accounts had participated in reposting. Some were cooperative and deleted the photos immediately. Others pretended to be difficult, actually wanting to squeeze out some money. I called them one by one. "Yes, please delete those photos. No reason. You are invading a guy's privacy." Thunder rolled in the sky. The rain that had been stifled for so long finally came pouring down. By the time I finished the last call, my voice was hoarse. Suddenly, I noticed a gaze watching me from the side. It was Mason. He wasn't holding an umbrella, he was just standing in the rain. His eyes looked at me, lost and helpless. I looked down and saw the navigation interface on his phone. The Cross River Bridge, also known as a famous suicide spot. "The photos will be taken down soon, but I can't control private sharing. Just endure it for now," I said somewhat coldly. "As for the bridge, no need to go." "You?" Mason's lips trembled as he asked, "Don't you hate me?" "I do. I hate you very much." "Then why?" "Don't misunderstand. I hate you, but I also hate using such dirty tactics to ruin someone's reputation. Even if the person trending today wasn't you, I would have stepped in." "Why?" Mason asked. After a moment of silence, I said, "Because I went through the same thing." "Do you believe me?" "It was that summer of senior year. I got into a decent college. But because I had always been poor, a few guys at school loved to bully me. Seeing me get into a good college, they were jealous beyond recognition. So, They faked inappropriate chat logs of mine and spread them everywhere. During that time, I didn't even dare to go out. Whenever I went out, the looks people gave me were enough to kill. The financial aid I applied for was delayed because of this. Without financial aid, I couldn't afford college anyway, so getting in was useless. In the end, I walked to the reservoir in a daze and jumped. When I said this, Mason suddenly looked up. He knew the rest without me saying it. Neither of us spoke. Just now, to avoid the rain, we had ducked into a coffee shop. This shop was one of Jessica's properties. The staff knew me and quickly brought hot water and towels for Mason. At this moment, the steam from the hot water blurred his vision. Mason's eyes turned red, and finally, unable to hold it back, he lowered his head and covered his face with his hands. I didn't bother comforting him. Let him be sad if he wants. Once Mason calmed down, he spoke in a hoarse voice. But I'm different from you. My photos aren't fakes. Clubbing, getting close to rich people, it's all true. Those are your private matters. I won't judge. Brandon, let me tell you a secret. Mason gave a self-deprecating smile. I actually don't like Rachel as much as you think. I'm vain and greedy. Compared to women, I prefer power and money. As soon as a woman better than Rachel appears, I could discard her. So that time I offended the client, I did it on purpose. I looked at him in surprise. You wanted to attract Victoria's attention? Yes, but I failed. At your mother's birthday banquet, I purposely knocked over the wine glass to get your sister's attention, too. I couldn't help but roast him. Did you watch too many teen dramas? You're right to mock me. I know how stupid I am now. Mason lowered his head. Even the hot water couldn't bring color back to his face. I know Rachel is a refined egoist at her core. I dated her while looking for a better option. I just stayed with her all these years because I couldn't find anyone else. As for going against you, it was only because you made my backup plan, Rachel, unstable. So that was it. But Mason changed the subject. I only sent those photos to Rachel. Your sister, Victoria, I never sent them to them. They wouldn't even look at me. How would I have the chance to send photos to get close? Meaning, these photos could only have been leaked by Rachel. Yeah. I had an idea. Have you thought about suing her? Before answering my question, Mason said he had a secret to tell me. He showed me a photo. It was of him and Rachel together. The photo didn't look special until I noticed the timestamp in the bottom right corner. August 2nd, 2020. My eyes widened instantly. That's right. This photo was taken on the day you drowned. Mason rubbed the rim of his cup and spoke slowly. Rachel and I, our two families, were traveling together in City C. You mean the person who saved me wasn't her at all? She lied. Of course, I'm guilty too. I was an accomplice to that lie. Mason told me that Rachel was obsessed with competing for the State Scholar Award at the time. The day I went to confirm her identity, teachers from the Provincial Bureau happened to be there. Oblivious, I asked her, last summer, did you go to the reservoir and save me? Rachel froze for a second. She knew the opportunity was right in front of her. So, she nodded, yeah, it was me. The teachers immediately gathered around. Impressive, Rachel. Acts of bravery deserve recognition. I knew it had to be Rachel. Excellent character and academics. With her grades being similar to others, Rachel got extra points for this good deed. She successfully won the honor that year. To maintain the lie, Rachel roped Mason in to cover for her. Until today, Mason decided to tell me the truth. I'm sorry. If I had said something sooner. Stop. Don't waste your energy apologizing. I interrupted him. I won't forgive you, but I won't hate you either. And you don't need to thank me for today, because I wasn't trying to help you. If it were anyone else, I would have done the same. The scandal involving Mason slowly faded from the public eye. Life was calm for a long stretch. Then, on an ordinary Monday, another bomb dropped on the internet, this time about Rachel. She was suspected of fabricating data to defraud investors. Furthermore, people dug up that she had been forging her history since her student days, faking internship certificates to get scholarships, faking acts of bravery to become a state scholar. As a startup star, Rachel's reputation plummeted. The big shots who were going to invest in her pulled their funds to avoid risk. Rachel also faced huge compensation claims. She quickly realized I was behind the leaks. Rachel came to me, breaking down. "Ethan, you still hate me, don't you? Because I lied to you, you're taking revenge on me like this." I laughed lightly. "Rachel, the reason you lost is that you underestimated me. You thought my brain was only filled with whether you loved me or not." Rachel froze. "What do you mean? My goal was never revenge. It was—" My assistant walked over at that moment. "Mr. Jenkins, the investments are secured. The bosses who pulled out of Rachel's company are all contacting us." Rachel's eyes widened. She couldn't believe it, her lips trembling violently. You did it for—" "Yes. I wanted to steal your business. Victoria taught me that corporate warfare draws no blood, but every cut is fatal. Sometimes, lying low is more effective than making noise. Strike the enemy fatally when they underestimate you." Did Rachel love me? Who cares? What I wanted was the business she held in her hands. Rachel wanted to fight back, but it was impossible, because Mason suddenly decided to sue her. Since that rainy day, Mason and I hadn't contacted each other. Just as I said, I couldn't forgive him, but I couldn't be bothered to hate him. We lived lives that didn't intersect. But I guessed he had been silently waiting for my move. The day I struck was the day he filed his lawsuit. Even if Rachel wanted to fight me, she would be too drained by his lawsuit to focus. I knew this was Mason's way of apologizing to me. The business war with Rachel didn't last long before she completely surrendered. I took my results to show off to Victoria. "Teacher Victoria, did I pass this final exam?" "Passed. You can graduate." Thanks for the guidance, teacher. The power of bloodlines is terrifying." "Huh? I'm talking about you," Victoria said lazily. "Without anyone's help, relying entirely on talent in your genes, you took down Rachel. Scary. Scary is good," I said with a grin. "You better be careful. Maybe you're next." "Then I surrender now, okay?" Victoria raised both hands. I said, "Just kidding. It's thanks to you forcing me to read so many books and case studies. By the way, ask for whatever you want as a reward. I want a fancy dinner." "No problem. I also want a meal cooked by you personally." "Done. You have to pour my first glass of wine yourself." "Okay. I want to court you." "Sure." "Wait, what?" I looked at her in shock. Victoria had a smile on her lips, but her eyes were incredibly serious. "I know you don't want to be bound by an engagement, and neither do I. But Brandon, after getting to know you this whole time, I really like you. So, putting aside family and engagements, I want to court you properly." Since she put it that way, I had to agree. Victoria courted me for 6 months. I thought her performance was excellent, so I made it official. We dated for another 2 years before our families started discussing the wedding. On the day of our engagement, I saw her social media account that she hadn't used in a long time. August 2nd, 2020. She had posted a tweet. "This lady saved another person today. I'm awesome. Ha ha ha." Pure, arrogant high school girl tone. The location tag was that reservoir. My heart almost skipped a beat. I took the tweet to Victoria and asked, "Was it you who saved me?" "Oh yeah." She was perfectly calm, as if it were a trivial matter. "Why didn't you tell me? I remember you already knew about my drowning when I exposed Rachel." Victoria answered, "Saving someone is just common decency. I didn't take it to heart and didn't tell anyone. Later, when I found out the person I saved was you, I couldn't say it." "Why?" "I was pursuing you back then. I didn't want to guilt trip you with that. That wouldn't be fair to you." I was stunned. I didn't speak for a long time. She was about the same height as Rachel. Both were tall and slender. The key was the swimming style they learned was the same type. That's why when I first saw Rachel, I mistook her. So that person had been by my side all along. Victoria pulled me into her arms, nuzzling me affectionately. "Brandon, promise me one thing?" "What?" "Don't be grateful to me. I only want you to love me. Purely love me." She kissed my earlobe lightly, then my cheek, my lips. Her hot breath landed on my skin. I couldn't help but remember my dark, hopeless 18-year-old self. That figure diving into the water. bringing me the hope of survival. Staying alive really does bring good things. In the end, I never said thank you. Under the moonlight, I leaned close to Victoria's ear. Softly, I said, I love you.